And welcome to another exciting adventure of the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael, and thank you to everyone for joining us a little bit early tonight for this adventure. I know we're normally on an hour later, so trust me, it's going to totally be worth tuning in an hour early for. And tonight's episode is a very awesome guest who I want to take a moment just to let everybody know my guest is a veteran. So thank you from my heart and my show to you for your service and sacrifice.
Thank you for your support. I appreciate that.
And with that being said, tonight's guest has a remarkable gift that she provides everyone, and I'm excited to share that with you all. So I'm going to turn it over to my amazing guest, the one, the only, totally probably telepathic, but we'll figure that out later, Laura Gaetano.
Hello, hello. It's strange to be on this end and not see anything as far as like who I'm talking to beside you, because I'm used to being on my stuff with all the chatter and whatnot. So, um, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. What do you want me to just start with kind of like how I got to where I am today? Is that good or?
You can start with how you got to where you are and a little bit of your background for those who may be unfamiliar.
Okay. So, my name is Laura Gaetano. You can always find me at lauragaetano.com if you have an interest in talking with me or booking readings, that kind of thing. Um, Also on TikTok. Uh, what can I tell you? So, I actually was not born with gifts the way that I've got them today. I think we all have gifts, but they're not necessarily discovered or useful, or some people never tap into them at all, right? Instead, I joined the Army straight out of high school. I served for 14 years as a military police officer. Um, Never had the gifts then. I got out of the military. Fast forward to August of 2014, I had a surgery at the Cleveland, Ohio VA that did not go well. Almost died from it. I had an NDE, not where I like flatlined and floated above my body type NDE or seen the white light at the end of the tunnel, but instead I had internal bleeding for 2 days that wasn't caught. And so, um, until I was completely like depleted and needed blood transfusions, that kind of thing. So I ended up being sick for like 5.5 months, really sick, getting out of the hospital with fevers and infections type stuff. And then my gift started in church of all places. I couldn't get enough of church. And I think it was just spirit or God or whomever it is that you guys believe in. I think it was their way of getting me in there and getting the feeling started and getting me opened up to it. So I started speaking in tongues over 9 months, or excuse me, getting touched by Holy Spirit over 9 months. I started speaking in tongues, things I didn't grow up with in a Baptist church. And then it moved to having visions, and then what the pastor called discernment. The discernment then grew to me knowing much more about people than just feeling their energy and knowing, the feels on them that way. Um, and then I started hearing a voice back then. I always feel like I sound crazy, right? So back then I would always only hear one spirit voice. It was a male and it was always back here in the back of my head. I assumed at that point it was God talking to me and giving me direction and kind of guiding me to help other people because of the things that would be said. Um, and so I didn't use my gifts like I do today for probably 3.5, 4 years, just because foreign religion teaches us not to do that. Fast forward since then, I've been blessed to work with a handful of families on some cases, missing and I was going to say unalive, like we're on TikTok, missing and murder cases, that kind of thing. Usually always do those pro bono just because I feel like that's a way to pay my gifts forward. Um, Done several thousand readings, spirit parties, which are like group readings. I used to spend about 6 hours a day on TikTok doing live readings, private readings. So I just really enjoy using my gifts and helping people get closure and guidance and that kind of thing. So that's
Wow.
that. Yeah.
There's a lot more than there was in the bio.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, so many things just peaked in my mind, and I'm like, which one do I start with? But I think I'm going to start with the one that goes in the order of your story.
Okay.
And what I find interesting is, you mentioned starting to go to church and getting into church. Was that normal for you being involved in church, or after your NDE, you were like, okay, I need to go to church. I'm feeling drawn to that, and then your gift started to come.
Well, I had just started at this little church right before, just a few weeks before um the surgery. And it was just like by chance because the guy that I was seeing, his sister went to the church and they invited us to go to the church. Well, I liked the feel of it. It was a non-denominational but Protestant led. So they had broke free from the Protestants are, I always get them confused. Protestant led, Presbyterian, Protestant. Protestants are the ones that, my church didn't do this, but the ones with like, if they're really charismatic, they use the snakes and all that stuff, right? That's Protestant.
Yes, because I've never seen that in a Presbyterian church.
Okay, okay. So I always, because of the P's, I'm like, wait, is it Protestant? I grew up Baptist. So even with that, I didn't go to church a lot. I did kind of do things at church as a teenager because I was into church camp and getting to leave home and all that stuff, but it was more for the wrong reasons. um, so yeah, so then after the surgery, I just felt super drawn to the church. Like I just as when I was able to go, I just couldn't get enough of it. So I started going on Sundays. Then I started going to they had Monday night Bible studies. So I was going to that. Then that wasn't enough. So I started volunteering at their food pantry and their clothes closet so that I could still be there. Then that wasn't enough, so I started attending another church 2 days a week as well. So it was opposite my church, and I was very pulled into the feelings, and then having Holy Spirit and feeling the things that I felt like there's not a better feeling. So I think it becomes kind of almost addictive to have that feeling, you know.
I agree. And my next question then is because I'm going down this line of track because you keep pointing out you didn't have any of these gifts before
Mhm.
this moment. So I'm like, I'm trying to, my curiosity peek that or poke that bear of that moment to see your thoughts about it. And I wonder if you ever thought about, you know, was it the near death experience itself that triggered your gifts, or do you think it was in the blood transfusions that the gifts may have came to you and your body just wasn't ready for it, and that's why it took you the 4.5 to I think it was 6.5 months to heal totally?
Okay. So that's a good theory. I've never thought about the blood transfusion part of it. That's why I kind of was like, oh, that's a cool theory. But um no, I think it really okay, so a little history on me. I'm all about, I'm a veteran. I just talk about this stuff because mental health is such a thing with our community today. So I'm gonna lead into it with this. I'm diagnosed with PTSD, major depressive disorder, anxiety. I'm very well in line with it. I know my triggers. I don't have like PTSD fall on the ground type stuff, but certain things, and it's because of childhood trauma. I'm a SA survivor from childhood trauma. And I actually share that because I think that's where my third eye began being opened. Not that I experienced things then, but I would dissociate during all of the things that were going on, and it happened for years and years, to the point that even now as an adult, I'm 53, I couldn't tell you where I went to prom. So like I've done such a good job pushing stuff into the back of my mind that it opened all of this up for me, right? So I think the one blessing from those acts that I went through is that I think that's what prepared me for the opening when the time was there. So I look back and I don't think that I had gifts per se, but I do know. I almost feel like it's in my bloodline, so I don't know how people feel about reincarnation, but I used to always have this preoccupation with witchery stuff, and as an adult, I wouldn't mess with witchery stuff, which is weird, but I used to have a recurring dream about being burned in a box, a pine box instead of a stake, but I was a witch. So, but I remember things like I would just know what song was going to be on the radio next. My dad was an over the road truck driver. I would just be looking out the window at school and be like, oh, my dad's going to call and come get me today. Like, so I think it was always there anyway. I just didn't, know how to open it up and use it back then, nor probably, I probably never would have as a child because born in the 70s, this stuff was very, you're not going to do this.
Right. And I actually have a theory from my life experiences that might help you and may align with you actually too. Is I had an incident, had two, where I was talking with the bean and kind of setting out how the future was going to unlock itself, what
Mhm.
abilities and when. And I started to realize when I had a near death experience, I woke up and it was like I was in a new frame of mind. It's like
Mhm.
the upgrade happened, so to speak.
Yes. Yes.
And so I grew up around metaphysics, so shadow beings were always around.
Hmm.
You know, mediumship was not new to me. I kind of grew up around it. And so I'm wondering if your thoughts are like how I've laid out my mindset is your near death experience was arranged to turn on the mediumship and kind of upgrade you.
I agree 100% with that. And it's funny because I had a shadow guy that followed me around for years and years as a child. And back then I was afraid of him, right? So um he started appearing though. We lived in a home that actually still had, and I don't mean to offend anybody by bringing this up, but it had slave quarters. My bedroom was in the slave quarters. So when you'd walk in the back door where it used to be the slaves bathroom, their own entrance into the home, the hallway would go that little tiniest, and that's where I started seeing him. He followed me around for years to the point that I seen him when I first went into the army in the barracks full of 100 of us. So I feel, knowing what I know now, I think that, people would be amazed if they knew where we actually came from and what we're supposed to be doing. And, my theory is Jesus didn't come to teach us a religion. He came to help us remember, to take us back to where we're supposed to be. So, I just on TikTok, if any of you guys go onto my page and look at my reposts, it's probably my most recent one. There was a lady that was talking about the Bible and what books were hidden and the different things that it discussed. And it really, really laid out people like us, our theories. It really laid out per the Bible um what a lot of us say, that it's the government. This stuff's been whitewashed, it's been rewritten so many times. Man has kind of formed it to control us and scare us into thinking we have to be on certain pathways, that kind of thing.
I agree. And what's interesting is, I have a lot of friends that, are the Bible is the word and it's direct communication. And I'm like, you remember that game Telephone that we played when we were growing up?
Mhm.
And it didn't matter how large or how small the circle was, but the message was
Message
never the
always
same.
changed.
So I was like, how can this book be 30 years after the fact the exact word when we can't even do that with a game now?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
Well,
like,
and certain books we're not privy to. Like, why? If there's nothing that would have been, I don't know. Religion to me is, I'm to a point in my life where I think that there's some truth in all religions. And so I'm very spiritual and I embrace, like, I love to chant. I love sound therapy. But it's funny because some people that are very religious and Bible thumping, they will say that yoga and chanting and you shouldn't use mineral
Crystals.
crystals. And I had a guy come on my show one day and he was like, I had a crystal necklace on. It was the one that's like the tree of life colors, chakra colors. And he was like, and I won't argue with people and get pissed like some people do. It's not worth the energy. And you're supposed to be working in light and being loving and passing on great things. So if you're an asshole to people, it's not going very well, right? So he says to me, you really shouldn't be wearing that. You're supposed to turn to God when you need healing. Or no, he said you shouldn't be wearing that. And I said, well, why is that? And he was like, because the Bible says, and this is it. And I said, but God made these crystals and minerals in our ground and they hold certain, elements to them that can heal our bodies or do different things for us. Well, still you're supposed to pray and you're supposed to turn to God when you need that healing and did it. And I said, well, let me ask you, do you go to the doctor when you're sick? Because you're not turning to God. He's like, that's different. And I said, okay, it's different when you just go to the doctor, but are you then taking the medication that they prescribe you? Because that's not turning to God. By what you're saying to me, you're being a hypocrite because you should be living like an Amish person does and not turning to medicine, but turning to God. He dismissed himself from the show. And there's just so much hypocrisy with um some religion. I don't want to point out certain things and have daggers thrown at me, but there's so much hypocrisy. The same people that want to say that yoga is the devil's work or chanting is that, I'm like, well, but do you have like something a special Christmas ornament that you passed down to you and you use it every single year? Well, yeah. Well, you're committing sins right there because you're idolizing something above God. Like that shouldn't mean so much to you that you're idolizing that ornament. It shouldn't matter if you have it or not. Or women shouldn't wear makeup, or per the Bible, a woman shouldn't lead a church. Like there's a lot of stuff that like you can't pick and choose which parts we're supposed to listen to. Like you either take it all in and you embrace it, or you know, you don't. You can't have it this way or that way. And my biggest question, I have two questions for people that are super religious, just something to throw out there that I always stump people with these two questions. One being, well, I guess this one's more of a statement. When you read the books of the Bible, and I'm not going to pretend like I know the Bible in and out because I don't, but if there's a burning bush talking to a man who is angelic, an angelic being that came down and burned this bush and spoke to him as an angel, that angel is still a spirit. I'm sorry, the angel is a spirit. Why is it okay for that man to talk to a spirit in a burning bush and it's not sinful? But if I talk to a spirit today with a loving message, I'm talking to demons. Like it's just so hypocritical, right? But my biggest question is what happened before Christ? What happened to all the souls from all those hundreds of thousands of people that died before Christ came to earth? Because they obviously were sinners because they didn't know the rules of the Bible and what was being preached. So where did all their souls go? Maybe those are the demons we're talking to. Because like it just there's no answer for that. Where did they all go? They didn't just get a free pass to heaven. So where are they? I'm
You
so
know,
confused.
the other flip coin to that is when the church decided to close purgatory, what happened to those
They
people
got
that
locked
they
in there.
put
I
in
don't I
there?
don't believe in purgatory based on
I'm
spiritual
like,
stuff that I see. I don't think that's a thing.
no, I know, but and what I like to point out
I didn't
is,
know they even closed purgatory. That's
oh
funny,
yeah,
but okay.
they just up one day and just said, okay, purgatory is closed.
I have a story for that for
Okay,
you for that. Remind me when you're done with yours. The
but
change.
people forget that the Council of Nicaea is where the church went from matriarchal to patriarchal, and the Bible was chopped up into the agenda that they had at that time.
Yeah.
And every Bible that's come since is, no matter who translates it, who, what version they share what, they all stem from Nicaea, in which case the true message of Jesus got wiped out and a new message put in, and everybody accepts that message as the message.
Yeah. The whole thing is just so it blows me. I feel like religion has become cult like. It's not really.
It has lost its way.
Absolutely. And something that bothers me is that I grew up Baptist, and it was always with me growing up, and I've got no problem with anybody's lifestyle. I'm just using this as an example to point something out biblically. The Bible says a man shall lay down with a woman and a woman with a man, right? And so with me growing up, I'm 50, like I said, I'm 53. So like you would never have seen a same-sex couple in church, and that would have been blasphemy and whatever else, right? Why is it now? It's like, and I'm using this as an example, but it really works, I guess, in different avenues, not just this one, but this one to me is the most blatant. Why is it that if the Bible is the Bible and it's the word and you're supposed to live by it, why do the rules keep getting bent for the church then? Because now it's a come as you are society and it doesn't matter. You've got same sex marriages where they're leading churches. So, like, you're preaching about not being sinful. I know, but that's my point is that should tell everybody everything. If they can close purgatory, if they can bend the rules that the Bible says are blatant rules, what's her face? I love her. I can't think of her name. Joyce, female, the big female pastor. I can't think of her name.
Oh,
Anyway,
oh, I know who you're talking
Joyce
about.
Myers.
That's it.
All those people think the Bible is the word, but they're against the Bible because they're following a woman pastor who's not supposed to lead the church or lead the men in the church. So there's just so much hypocrisy and confusion. And I think some of it has to do with the way that we are taught. And I think some of it has to do with our DNA and the need to belong to something and to believe in something bigger than ourselves, right?
I agree. And one of the things, it's funny that we're talking about religion, is I actually got kicked out of Bible study and asked not to return because I asked two major questions that they could not answer and did not appreciate me asking. And
You're
the
just
first
supposed to have
one,
faith.
well, the first one was, and I had this ever since I was a little kid. Nobody taught this to me. I just had it. I even confused my parents with it. Is, so we have Christ being crucified on a cross to abolish sin. Now, everybody born after that point is born in sin.
Mhm.
So, does that mean Jesus died on the cross for
For
nothing?
nothing.
Because if sin's abolished, there is no sin. And yeah, it's like, wait a minute.
The hypocrisy of it all. Well, and something else, a lot of people, I do a lot of, I love to read on stuff and do a lot of research. But the funny thing is, too, is that, well, I have a theory. Like, I think that light workers are called light workers for a reason. And I sometimes, I do know that the Bible talks about mediums and soothsayers and all this, that they'll come about to try to distract you from the life of Christ and to basically turn you away from heaven. But what if it's actually the opposite? What if we're the light workers supposed to be opening people up and showing them what spirituality is about and what really happens to you? And the church is the one pulling people away from the path that they're supposed to be on. Because to me, we're called light workers and we're not doing, whether it be pedophilia in the church, stealing money, like we're not doing the sinful things that people that leave churches do. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but I mean, there's a lot of it out there.
No,
So,
I agree. And one of the things I started thinking about recently as we're talking about the hypocrisy and people just blindly following, is I've been hearing in my head a lot that the Bible says you'll have no icons and no other gods but me.
Idolizations, yes.
But when you go into church, you have stained glass windows of people, you have statues of people, and I'm sorry, those statues are known as icons. So your entire building that you're worshiping in is completely blasphemous from what it's
Well,
supposed to be.
a church itself is an icon, right? What does it represent? So like you idolize churches when I yeah, there's just so much hypocrisy in all of it, and the way that things can change and bend and um it, I think the spiritual warfare is here on earth, and I think that
Oh, it is.
it's the religion against the us. So, um,
It's
you know,
religion versus the light, in my opinion.
yes, where we're at, there we go again, right? But it's so funny too because think about how the church demonstrates a demon. They usually have horns and they are this and they're that, but the horn thing and a lot of history, other countries' gods always have horns and they look like what our churches have turned into a demon look, right? And so I don't know, there's just so much weirdness with it and it's used for all
Well,
the wrong reasons.
and people don't realize that, in ancient times to, I would say, the Dark Ages, where the church started really taking hold, and the Reformation period, where the church kind of reformed itself a little bit, and all of that those periods, the Dark Ages, really is where the concept of hell and demons was born.
Hmm.
If you look at ancient Greek, there are no demons. You look at ancient Egypt, there are no demons.
Right.
You look at, the Norse, the Babylonians, everybody, no demons. No
Hmm.
demons appear on this planet until the church arrives.
Right, right.
Do you think that's a coincidence?
No, not at all. Just like that's where I think all the fear base came in with all the spirituality stuff, telling people that I actually think, and do I think some people are schizophrenic? Absolutely. But I actually think that that's where things like medical, diagnoses of being schizophrenic. If I were to go to my psychologist and tell them that I talk to dead people and that I can see this and I would be locked up in a padded room because they would say I was schizophrenic and out of my mind. So I think some people are misdiagnosed even in that area because the scientific side of it wants to scare you out of what's really going on and maybe they don't understand the voices and because there's a whole lot of chatter all the time. You'll see me on I usually have my spirit box running while I'm on my lives, but then spirit box they come through and talk to me just like we're talking, but I've learned that if I turn the music off, then they'll quit talking. It's almost like they feed off the energetic wavelength, but sometimes I'm like, okay, Google, pause a minute, like because it starts, it's just all this chatter. So I can see where somebody might not understand what's going on in their mind and they go to the doctor's like, I'm hearing voices, right? Because it's really
Right.
what you're hearing. So yeah,
And
it's interesting.
I always say when people ask me, like from my background, if I was to meet somebody who may be a medium or maybe waking up to their gifts, I always use the discernment and saying, okay, if something resonates to you and lifts you up, and by
Mhm.
resonating means that your body is like
Connecting with it.
responding positively to it and it's
Hmm.
lifting you up, listen to it. If it's telling you to do harm to yourself or something else, ignore it because
Yeah,
that is not a beneficial,
right.
and it's malevolent or negative, and it's and and it's strange living in the world we're living in where you almost have to say that on a daily basis for people to understand and follow it, because everybody wants to jump automatically into, like we're talking about, the fear mode. And it's like, no. And I had a beautiful experience for myself that took 3 years to do. And I don't mean 3 years of going through hell. Don't read that. It's just I had an incident over that replayed itself over 3 years that I got a great gift out of. And that gift was I broke my leg. And I know that sounds strange saying a great gift, but the gift part is coming. So I go through physical therapy. My leg heals up. I go on this vacation right after, like a few months after, and I'm swimming in the bay of Maui. And I get out of the bay, go back on board the ship, and believe me, I'm telling this in a very short version, but I no longer need the crutches. It's like I'm walking totally normal. My body has reset itself. Amazing, feeling. And I'm told not to fall on it. Well, the following year, I go on another trip. I slip on metal in a foreign country at a terminal for the cruise ship,
Mm-hmm.
and I land on my leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm freaking out. I am in fear mode, going, oh my God, I just fell on my leg. I'm not supposed to fall on this leg.
Right.
I can't go to a hospital because I'm not in my country. I
Right.
don't trust these doctors. I'm not going to be able to understand them either because I don't really speak the language that much. And I have this experience on the couch in our room where I'm guessing my inner voice took me out of fear mode and returned me to light mode,
Mm-hmm.
because it was asking me, who am I? What do I do? And where am I? And it's like my brain clicked and I was like able to use the water to heal, and everything was fine. And the
Mm-hmm.
following year, I'm in France. I fall down, coming down a mountain on the same leg, and everybody rushes around me and are like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. No worries. It's all good."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the gift was I got to see myself react in fear mode and then learn the next time going, yeah, reacting in fear mode doesn't help. It
Right.
doesn't do anything. Stay in the light mode. You're fine.
Well, it's all about perspective. It's one of the things I do preach a lot is perspective. So, just like it's just a matter of like a reset of your mind, your thought processes. So, you know, I try to speak gratitudes all the time just because like it's so the energy you put out is the energy you get back. It's a full, cyclic thing. And so you have to put out good energy. And so if you miss your exit and you're like, damn it, blah, 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 blah," for 2 miles down the road, right? Instead, it's just thank you, God, spirit, guides, whomever you talk to, Buddha, for letting me miss that exit. I know you probably saved me from an accident. It's all about perspective. And the more that you start to put that energy out, the more you feel that shift and you feel uplifted instead of negative and pissy, right?
I agree. And it raises a question I'm wondering your opinion of, because PTSD is a new thing that we're paying attention to now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like sometimes it's misdiagnosed or maybe overly focused on, and not going to like root causes around it. But
Uh-huh.
that aside, I'm curious, with your mediumship and gifts and,
Mm-hmm.
like you're saying, perception, do you feel like your PTSD is not as bad because of the gifts and perceptions, or do you feel like it's because you've done shadow work around it and that all is what's really helping with it?
Well, um, to be honest with you, mine still shows itself a lot, but mine's more internalized. So, um, paranoia. And when I say paranoia, I mean, um, I can be at Walmart with my teenager and she walks one aisle over, and before I know it, she's been kidnapped, sex trafficked overseas somewhere, and I'm never seeing her again. Like, so my PTSD is a lot of like paranoia, impulsive type thoughts. I do have very disrupted sleep, which is a horrible side effect because I can't ever sleep. Um, so mine, I would say mine's equally as bad, but it doesn't present the way that you see some that seem like their PTSD is. I shouldn't say mine's equally as bad. I think mine is still on a bad level, but it doesn't show itself in those ways. Instead, it's a mind thing with me a lot. Um, I'm working constantly at alignment and staying on track, and I'm actually getting ready to go through some therapy for sexual trauma PTSD, which is what mine is. And so it's, when you're healing and trying to stay aligned, and I don't think it's a destination we ever really reach completely. I feel that it's an ever winding road that you have to just learn to steer on and navigate through, right? And so I say all that to say that. My PTSD, I think, is more controlled in some ways. However, it still hinders me in others. But I try not to focus on it. Like, I try not to walk through life focused on the fact that, the sexual abuse was happening for all those years of my child. Like, I will talk about it freely in forums and stuff because I want people to know they're not alone and that you can still function and lead a pretty normal life outside of those things. Some people, they take trauma and abuse or, different things, loss, and they live in that and they stir that energy of sadness and woe is me, and they make not so smart choices, maybe go on a life of, substance abuse or crime or sleeping around with everybody or whatever it could be, just not taking care of yourself because you're stuck in that trauma mode rather than trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be today. Because what happened to me then, I do think something beautiful came from it because of my gifts now, but I just refused to live in, and it took me a very long time. I was in my early 30s and I just remember waking up one day and I'm like, I'm done. This man, if I'm blessed to live to 60, this man has already stole half of my life of happiness. And I just refuse to live in that space. And doesn't mean every day is always great, absolutely not, but I don't have a lot of triggers with that kind of stuff. I occasionally, very occasionally, I might see, I don't know, a guy on the dating site and I'm like, oh, because he just looks like him to me. But it's that kind of thing. It's not smells and music and some things that some people, live with. So I don't know. I hope that answers you. I get kind of talky, but
No, it does, and I feel like with the subjects that we're covering, I just want to put out there, and it's not against you or me, but these are our experiences, and what works and doesn't work for us doesn't necessarily do the same thing for everyone.
right.
So don't watch this and think, oh, because what she's going through or what I share worked for us is going to work for you. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but yeah, we're not prescribing anything, and we're not telling people how to heal themselves. We're just sharing experiences and information.
With
So I
that
just
said,
want to
if I
make
may,
that clear.
Mike, with that said, if I may, I do, though, wholeheartedly believe that I mean, it's been proven on the scientific level that there's certain frequencies that help your body heal, that will actually help your DNA heal itself. So there is some truth. Does that mean every single thing that we say and think is absolute? You should need to run and do it. No, but listen, your mind is a habit. So, like, if you constantly live in negativity, or you constantly live in this sad state, or constantly rehashing these things in your mind, like, you're I don't know how else to say, because I'm very blunt, but you're almost creating the self chaos and the toxicity for yourself. It becomes habitual. So I use the analogy, like, think about biting your nails and you want to quit biting your nails. Every time you're biting your nails, you're like, oh shit, I want to quit biting my nails. And you pull your nails out of your mouth. Well, it's the same thing with your thought process. If you're over here in left field thinking, oh, well, that time I broke my toe and lost my toenail for the rest of my life. I'm using that as just a minuscule, goofy example. But if you're constantly living in that moment, you stay in that moment. So what you have to do is be like, oh, here I go with this toenail. I'm never going to grow again. Okay. And I replace that. I bring my mind here and I replace that with something positive, you know?
Yeah.
In that instance, you could just be funny and be like, well, I guess one good thing about not having the toenails, I'll never get toenail fungus, like, it's just about perspective, and not living there. And, it's meditation of the mind is so important. And I tell people the same thing, like, when you meditate, I'll be trying to meditate, and before I know it, I'm at the grocery store tomorrow buying, cheese slices, and I have to, like, pull myself back to the center. Like, it's a process, and it's a thing that you constantly have to train and mold, but, like, you're worth it, and you have to remember that you're worth it to feel happiness and feel worthy and feel love, and
Absolutely. And
work on yourself.
I'm kind of, my mind, the way it works is I'm noticing all your references and examples deal with nails, and so I'm like, do you like paint your nails and overly watch your nails and everything? Because I'm noticing a trend of nails is really prevalent to you.
Is it really? I didn't even know I did that more than once, but okay. Well, funny thing is, my teenager's very much into, she wanted all this nail stuff, and she literally can, like, she sits and does both of her hands like that at the salon. I'm like, when can I get that? So there is a big nail thing going on in the house. She can do, like, these little 3D ladybugs and flowers and all this stuff at 14. I'm like, girl, you need to start a business. Like, get with it.
Yeah.
So I try to use analogies that aren't triggering and make sense on the most basic level. I should have probably said before I started talking, like, this could be a trigger warning. So, I apologize if I triggered anything in anyone, but I feel like these discussions are what's so important for our people as a whole. Our people meaning all people, because mental health is such a problem now, and people don't discuss because of the stigma. And I'm like, the hell
Well,
with it. It is what it is. Like, talk about it.
yeah, and in full disclosure and transparency, I used a channel, so it could be picking up, and I was picking up on the nails
Uh-huh.
with you
Uh-huh.
and your daughter, and it's like my mind just went to hearing it, but maybe it really wasn't that way, but that's the way my
No, I think
mind
you did hear something
processed it.
too. Because I do my these are just natural, but I did do press on nails just for the show, so that I at least look like I was somewhat put together. And right before I came on with you, this one had lifted up, so I was trying to glue it. So you probably were channeling my nail stuff over here.
So, and I'm curious, and I don't know if, we've been weaving around so much, and I don't remember if I asked this, but I told you, and I would ask this,
Uh-huh.
the one time and backstage before we came on, and that was, do you think your time in the army, doing what you did, the training you received, do you think that helps with your gifts, and you kind of use some of that training with your gifts, or do you feel like, no, the training was what it was and my gifts are what they are and they're separate?
Well, I think probably the only link would be that in military service, you're taught to walk in confidence and to just know. And so I feel like that brings authenticity to my readings and to being able to talk about the subjects because um I'm confident and I believe in it. You know, I know what's real and what's not. And so I think I probably carried those skills over. But I think it gives me the authenticity. I'm not tiptoeing around the shit. Like I'm just like this is like when I'm doing lives, like I never like to talk poorly about anybody in the paranormal industry because that's part of the issue in the paranormal industry. It's very cutthroat, right? There's enough ghosts and enough aliens for all of us. We don't Bigfoot, whatever, right? So but I do see a lot of fake scamish readers. I see some that I know are gifted, but they do, I call it smoke and mirrors presentation. Kind of like if you were watching the Ghost Whisperer show and she's like, and he's saying, go to the left and that vanilla ice cream cone over there. Da, da, da. Like spirits don't talk to you like that. So it's a lot of smoke and mirrors delivery, right? And so um I am the type of medium that I'll be like, okay, listen, I can't always tell past, present, future, but this is what I'm seeing. So, um, if you ask me, some people ask the dumbest questions to mediums, and it cracks me up. I'm like, you have the opportunity to get something major answered, and you're asking me, does this dude still have you locked in his phone? Like I had this last night on my live, and I'm thinking I didn't even answer the question. I'm like, I can't with this. I'm like, I'm trying to help them bring home their murdered son over here, and you're asking me if a dude's got your number in his phone. Like, come on, you know. So I just I'm gonna always be brutally honest. So like if you're asking me if a guy, you know, if your girlfriend cheated on you, well, if she's ever cheated on you, I can see that. But I can't tell you if that's now, if it's 2 months from now, or if she's already done it and you knew about that, you know, like so that's one thing. I think it's just allowed me to be authentic and to let people know that there's a medium I watch. She's very gifted, but she's also very full of shit. Like, and Sylvia Brown, I used to love Sylvia Brown. Like, she was very talented at one point, but it's like some people they allow what they've been opened up to. You know, there's always ascensions, and you're always growing and learning new things with your mediumship and with what you hear, or a new thing that you're being shown, or so there's always growth. But I don't believe at any point that I know that in heaven that they're doing a dance over in the ballroom every night at 6 p.m. You know, and like these mediums will tell you shit like that. And I'm like, now, dude, until you've died and you're over there in that room, you wouldn't know that shit from, you know, what the neighbor's cooking in their house right now. Like, so you just have to I don't know. I think you just have to appreciate it when someone is authentic, and it doesn't mean that they aren't as gifted. It just means they're not going to deliver it like it's a movie line, you know?
Well, and as a medium, how do you deal with time? Like when people ask, how is is this going to play out? How do whenever I hear mediums go, oh, in 2 months you're going to experience this, and I'm like, how do you know? What is 2 months to you? Because there is no time where they are. Time is only here. So are they talking hour 2 months, or are
hmm
they like,
hmm
how do
Yes.
they determine?
Well, I mean, because I feel that, okay, so I know when I'm talking to a spirit guide versus a spirit that was living. And the only reason I know, well, to me, they're a spirit guide because that's what we've been taught spirit guides are. But I can tell if it's a male or female, but I can't see them and know who I'm connecting to. So I always know that energy is something different than like a loved one who's passed, right? Um, but um, I mean, I believe you're completely and fully woke when you're on the other side. Does that mean if you were an asshole in life, you don't go over there and you still have asshole personalities? You still present the same way as an evidential medium. I know, like this dude was very, you know, or I can tell you, or hey, their energies, da da da. Like so, they'll present the same way, and so I feel like they're woke. They know, and although they don't have time, they know that we live by different ways, so they're going to give it to us in ways that we understand, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
well,
I
that
mean,
and
I
I
don't,
also go ahead.
no, I was just, I don't know how to answer that because you're right. I don't think, and I also think spirits can be everywhere all at once. I think they're universal. So, um, and I'm gonna tell you why. I've got certain spirits that come through my spirit box all of the time. There's one guy he's a butthole. He yells constantly. I'm like, dude, quit yelling. He must have been a grumpy ass man. He sounds like an old fart, like rah, rah, always complaining. Um, but to me, I was on a cruise in July. Two of the same spirits that I talk to, whether I'm driving to work, whether I'm in my bedroom, that I talk to all the time on Spirit Box. I decided to turn on Spirit Box on a cruise ship because I wanted to see what was going on in the middle of the ocean. And two of them came through and were talking to me. So I don't, there's so many unknowns. Like, that's one of those questions that if I was a smoke and mirrors full of shit type delivery, I would be like, oh, well, it's because da 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 da. Da. We don't know. I don't know any more than you know that answer. I don't know. I just think they've got to deliver it to us in a way that we'll understand. And the delivery is sometimes really wonky. I had I get really excited about this, so I'm sorry if I'm talking too much. Let me slow down. Do you want to hear this example I was going to give you about being wonky?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I get super excited about this. I could go on and on for hours and days with this stuff. Um, People think like listening to spirit, you could tell when I channel, I'm always off to the left. So every time I'm talking about spiritual stuff, like that's almost like my portal to the left. Occasionally I get something over here, but that's always top left. Um, so people think that they're going to be like, well, I'm only going to know if you're a real medium if you tell me the saying the cat ate the hat, because that's what she told me she would say when she passed away. It doesn't. Do we sometimes get like weird random stuff like that? Yeah, but it doesn't always get delivered so quickly and easily and smoothly. I had a guy, I was reading for his daughter. This was dad, he passed away. And I said, because I always hear the most weird references, and it's usually something to do with actors, movies, music, like really weird stuff. So he says, he's talking about Cheech and Chong. And I'm like, your dad's referencing Cheech and Chong. I don't know what this is. I'm not hearing anything besides Cheech and Chong. So she's laughing and she is like, oh, that's an ongoing joke we had when they were in the hot box and the cop is knocking. You can knock, but you can't come in. So we kind of giggle about it. Well, dad keeps nagging me. There's more to it. He says, it's not Cheech, it's Chong. It's not Cheech, it's Chong. And I was like, so in the middle of the reading, I keep interrupting her because spirit will nag the shit out of me. And I'm like, listen, I get that you guys had the joke, but dad keeps saying it's not Cheech, it's Chong. She was like, I have no clue what this is. So I grabbed my other phone and I'm Googling them, and it's Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong. Guess what her dad's first name was? Tom.
Tommy.
So why you didn't just say Tom instead of all this Cheech and Chong, puzzle pieces? I don't know. I don't know why they delivered it that way, but that's that's what I'm saying. I trust everything I'm given because it always fits and it's always correct. But it's very specific like that. So that's another way you can tell mediums and readers who are far-fetched or blowing smoke or maybe not quite so gifted, because they'll say something that's so general it'll fit 98% of the people in the room, right? um
Right.
so you just have to learn to trust it and deliver it the way it's given to you. And
Yeah. We have 5 minutes left, and I
okay,
didn't know if you had time to go a little bit over or if you needed to go. I just wanted
I
to
can
make you aware of the time.
yeah, I can stay on if you're good. I'm hyped now, as you can see.
Well, one question I have for you, and I find it
Mhm.
interesting with all the mediums. You have mediums who make predictions and everything, and I often, whenever something's predicted about me, I feel like the very second it has left their mouth, it's no longer valid because my perception of it has altered it because I'm already thinking of how to get around or make it happen. So it's
Hmm.
like, what's your feeling on that? With predictions, do you feel like some of them are valid, or some of them, or
Yeah, I
most
mean,
of them are no?
I think it's been proven that some people can predict events and things, right? I mean, look at back at Nostradamus. So, um, I guess it's first of all, I'm very particular about what I'll speak because I don't want to put things into motion in somebody's mindset where they start expelling energy that's going to then turn it into something that's not on the positive side, right? For instance, I had a lady that came on my live on, and her daughter was very, very sick, and she wanted to know if she was going to be okay. Da da da. Well, immediately she was going to be okay, but I could see that she was still going to pass very young from this. I would never ever speak that because then that mom is living in that the death of her daughter and mourning her daughter before it's even come, and then that energy is putting the death cloud out there. And so, I mean, is there validity? Yes, but I think some people will do things to change it. Like, it just like if you knew you had, 4 months to live, you'd be trying to make all kinds of changes and make amends and do different things. So I don't know. I don't, outside of saving someone from something, I don't think most predictions are useful.
Yeah,
I guess
and
depending on how you looked at it. If you're somebody that's really good with fertility, I suck at fertility. If you're really good at fertility and you can say, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have twin girls," I think about 6 years from now, and that's an accurate statement and it gives them hope because they're trying to have children, then yeah, I can see the good in that. But is that a prediction of sorts? Kind of, but I guess when I think predictions, I think large scale, right? Like China's going to get hit by a tsunami in March of 2029. I don't know. Like, to me, I feel like it's like earth shattering predictions. I don't know.
no, that's a good point, and I'm also a little bit curious, because I'm going to take this to the paranormal side for a second. You mentioned like Bigfoots and aliens, and all these other aspects of the paranormal. When you're in a medium session, whether live or for a client or just doing it for yourself, have you ever come across to where you're like, I'm communicating with something that is not of this world and
Yes, you would
don't
not
know
believe.
what?
I knew where you were going with this. I was going to say this earlier, and I'm like, I'm going to sound like a complete nutball if I say this, but now that you've opened it up, I'm going with it. So, the spirit box, I swear, in the last year, there's been a few times that I believe it's extraterrestrials talking. And they don't take over the whole spirit box, and it's not like the fourth dimension or the fourth kind or whatever. It's not like that. But like they come through and speak to me. The energy is just, it's not the spiritual energy I normally feel, and it immediately takes me to like channeling what I feel like I'm seeing an alien of sorts, right? Well, what I would picture an alien to be. So like it's like, and then I've even had one come through and he is like, I'm in a different world. Like, so yes. And I think that the more open that you are to spirituality and to just believing that there's so much more than we can wrap our minds around that's out there, right? That um the more other types of normal stuff find you, right? So it's funny. I don't, you see me sometimes glitch. That's a channeling thing that I do. So how I'm like I stop and it's a channeling thing I do. But I felt the need to say, it was like spirit was telling me to say, because I don't know if you have a naysayer that's watching right now. But like so many people think mediumship or clairvoyance or remote viewing is BS. But if you know anything about history, you should check out some of the CIA records that have been released to the public. Operation Star something, I think. Anyway, they were
With
using
Operation Stargate and the
Stargate.
men with
Yes.
goats.
Yeah, so they were using remote viewers and whatnot to try to find. where things were at in Russia. And I mean, there's so much. I actually just downloaded this thing that was released recently, and it talks about it's all government documents, but self healing, and how if you chant 555115 or something, I can't remember, but that if you sit and do that, you can self heal. And it was talking about our third eye and breathing techniques and like everything that they've tried to tell us that we're full of, poop on. They finally are starting to release the documentation that they've been knowing what we're just starting to really come to light with, right?
Yeah, and one thing that's interesting to note is when,
Could you refill this for me?
HemiSync,
Thank you.
if you're familiar with that company,
Hemisync?
doing binaural beats, and they can help your
Oh,
memory and
okay.
everything.
Which I love binaural headphones and stuff.
Well, I didn't know this until somebody told me, and when I looked it up, it is plainly on their website. But the CIA is one of their benefactors. And so I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to be supporting these projects. But then, that's where we get into, well, just because the word CIA
Mm-hmm.
is on there doesn't mean the dark side of the CIA is operating there and covering it up
Mm-hmm.
and planting messages in people's minds. No, there are good sides too. And that's the thing I think that we as humans do is we hear a term and we either are good or bad. We
Yep.
don't view the gray area. And so that's where I think like mediums, like you're saying, in ancient times they were the wisdom keepers, but now everyone's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
are something totally different. But
Well, and if you wanted to go back and bounce back to the biblical side of it, the Bible does talk about not seeking out this and that, da da da. But I feel that those were more like dark workers. I don't think that I don't see how your God, my God, any thank you, Punky, could penalize me for giving comfort to someone from their loved one. Like, what would be a demon's, like, I keep trying to put this two and two together. Like, what would be a demon's end game when I've been doing this now for X amount of years and nothing has happened yet besides some relief and comfort and love and, so what's the end game? What's the end game with what are they doing? Because where's this taking me? Because I don't feel like it's gone down some weird windy road yet. So
right,
everything people are afraid only for two reasons. It's unknown and they're afraid of the unknown. Well, maybe three reasons. The other being that you've been taught that it's not right, right? or three, just uneducated and it's beyond our knowledge with certain things, right? So,
right. Well, I actually had a funny scenario come up where I pointed out, we look outside and see the grass is green, and we
because
call it green. Why? Because people
somebody
have
said
told
that.
us it's green.
Yeah.
And one of the people I was interviewing goes, "Well, actually, grass has been shown scientifically to reflect all colors but green. It
Hmm.
absorbs the frequency of green, and that's why it appears so." And I was like, well, now I can't use that example
I think
anymore.
I thought that I heard that with all colors, though, that like you're not actually seeing the color as reflective. But I don't know, some things scientifically, like I know it's supposed to be proven science, but some stuff I'm kind of like, now how do they really know that? How do they
Yeah,
know that it's not absorbing green so it looks green? Like some stuff I feel like is made up shit. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. It's made up just like so many other things in life that we're taught and told, right?
yeah. And
I
I'm
just
like,
was
this
watching a
guy,
lady on TikTok, Mike, who was talking about television and how television, I forget what the word meant. I reposted her too. Television. This is where she
yeah,
was going with it. You turn the channels. And so basically she went into this whole thing and it all made complete sense about how they hypnotize you with TV. And if you
Oh,
really
that's a
listen to
fact.
just the name. Yeah, if you listen to the names of it, which, okay, so I am really good friends with somebody who he's now part of the National, no, not National Geographic, Discovery Channel. Um, he did a documentary called A Flash of Beauty, and it's a Bigfoot documentary, but not a hokey one. It's really good. It changed my mind on Bigfoot. Um, and he turned me on to a lady that he's friends with, and she's actually kind of in hiding right now, and all kinds of weird stuff because she used to be into like ritualistic stuff with some of the elites and all kinds of stuff that's above what we think goes on in the world. So she was talking about when they perform rituals, they use a lot of flashing lights for the hypnotic effects. Well, guess what the two major colors are that they use for hypnotic effect and rituals? If you had to guess any two colors,
I would say blue and gray, probably.
blue and red. You were close. Now, what else in life do we see that's blue and red and flashes? Cop cars. Think about it. Cop
Oh,
cars.
yeah.
So when you watch, I don't watch the news. I haven't for years, but when you watch the news, what's 99% going on the news channel? In the background, they've got a video with flashing red and blue lights. Like they do all kinds of things. Just like this stuff is all supposed to be hokey and it can't be true, but they used to play subliminal messages in the movie theater ads so that you would go buy their snacks and drinks. Like people, they don't wrap their mind around the whole story. They take a little piece, then they forget about it, and then they take another little, oh, this is bullshit. This can't be real. Da, da, da. They've been telling us forever about this stuff that is really going on all around us all the time. So, it's
Um,
just about focusing and putting your energy in the right places.
yeah, and for me, television, when it was first conceived, you would have like few channels to watch, and it would be a Western show or a
Mm.
news show
Or a
or like
good, wholesome
Donna Reed
show.
show, but
Yeah.
everything was called a show.
Talk show.
Then all of a sudden, one day it switched, and everyone just accepted, oh, we're watching this program.
Mm.
Oh, our program is coming on.
Yep.
And we literally were telling ourselves we're programming our mind
Yeah.
and didn't even pay attention to the fact that we were programming our mind.
Yep. With the channels and the television. Yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts to me. The stuff that's around all of us all the time, and people just don't really put. Everybody's got their face down, and another thing that they're hypnotized with are phones. And at 53, I've been single like 8 years, right? And like it's so hard to date because I'm a bit old school. Like I want a guy that's gonna not send me some little hokey line on a dating site. Like I want somebody to like meet me old school in a store and we speak and exchange. You can't make eye contact with people. Everybody's got their face down. You could be missing the best thing that ever happened to you and you wouldn't know. Or, somebody was just going to donate $100,000 to you just because you were looking at them that day. Like, we are just so, we've got our mind in one place and nothing else, and then people are just so close minded with everything. But it's around you all the
Well,
time.
yeah, and being single for 6 years, I have found the way it was when we were growing up, I could survive that. The
Yeah.
way it is now, I'm like, no. I just bow out and I'm like, yeah,
I'm like bullshit
I'm
meter, red
okay.
flag. I had a guy, funny story. I had a guy today. I just had a granddaughter. She's 2 weeks old. And
Oh,
he had just,
congratulations.
thank you. She's so beautiful. We had just started kind of chatting on texting. And listen, I work full time. I'm a mom full time. My daughter's in cheer. I do lives 3, 4 nights a week. I do private readings. I also just open a body and mind spa. So like I'm busy. Like I'm not gonna be able to sit and devote a ton of time to guys, period. But would it be nice to go out once in a while and go on a dinner date or something? Sure. But I'm not needy, so I don't care if we talk every day. It's not the point. But the guy went and quit talking to me. Like he just went silent the Wednesday that she was born. Now she was born on Monday. On Wednesday was the last time I heard from him. This was 2 weeks ago. Why do I wake up to a text this morning at 5? Well, he had texted me at 5:30 saying, "Hey, how you doing? You know how I'm doing? You're still sitting on red because that's how I'm doing. Don't text me at 5:30 in the morning. Like it's just not a red flag. Red flag. That's just not appropriate. I'm not sleeping with you. You're not paying my bills. I don't know you from Adam down the street. Why are you texting my phone? And it's not an emergency at 5:30 in the morning. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
red
only,
flag galore.
the only thing I have trouble with is time zones because I'll forget, if somebody's like 2 hours behind me. Like I have a friend in California and I talk to her all the time,
Three
and
hours.
I message her and I'm like, hey, good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And she laughs because it's 8 o'clock for me.
And 5 o'clock
And
in the
she
morning over
goes,
there.
why are you texting me at 6 a.m.? And I'm
Oh, is
like,
she in the
I'm
2 hour
sorry.
zone?
Yeah. I was
It's
like,
weird.
I'm
It's weird with
sorry, I
California.
forgot.
Yeah.
So now it's
Yeah.
like I wait until like 10, 11, 12 to message her good morning.
And then you're in bed and she's wanting to text because she settled down for the evening. That's always backwards. So, I mean, just like we had that mishap and we're only an hour difference, but I would have been
Yeah.
on at my time, like, okay, Mike, where are you at?
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
get confused by the times all the time. It's like,
Hmm. Hmm.
and then somebody was telling me Florida has two time zones. There's the Eastern Standard Time, and then there's something ESD where they never time change. I'm like, what?
There's a place like that, and I thought Arizona had a spot that it never changed time zones. You said
Yeah, but
Florida as well?
I never figured them as like, I figured we have Pacific Standard Time, Mountain Standard Time, Central Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time. That's it.
Yeah.
And now they're like, no, there's another group of three letters, and I'm like, what?
Well, it's
And so
just like
I'm like,
now we've all changed horoscopes to like again, men are creating chaos for what reason? What's the purpose
I
of
think
that?
it's all men. I think there's some
No,
women in it.
men, women, men, human. Well, we could say
Uh,
it's mostly men, but yeah, men, man,
oh, I was just
mankind. Is
being
that
funny
better?
saying that. Yeah, I knew what you meant. I was just being funny.
I know, I know, I know. It's all right. But yeah, I think going back to the paranormal stuff, I think that once you open up, I mean, because listen, just like if I had Spirit Box on right now, you guys would trip the hell out. Like if you go to my TikTok and watch, okay, the night of Charlie Kirk's demise. I don't watch the news, but everybody knows when you clicked on TikTok, the video was everywhere. So at that point, I went down a rabbit hole like, oh my gosh. So I always have my Spirit Box on, even if I'm not talking to them when I'm on my lives. And I'm talking just like we're doing. And all of a sudden the Spirit Box says Kirk. And I'm like, Kirk? I'm like, wait a second. That's the guy that thing happened to today. This man starts talking. I've got it posted. It went viral on my
Oh, I
TikTok.
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, you heard him. He said he's a Republican. I don't know. I think he said I was just talking or I'm just dead. I'm not sure which. It was hard to understand, but he said it sounded to me like he said I just died or I was just talking, maybe is what it was. And then he says, I am Republican, move the barrier. Like, so I say that because I sit every day and listen, I turned this on the other morning in my car, and the guy says, "Well, good morning." Like he was my date that I just picked up in the car. The spirit said that to me. So if you'd have told me 10 when I was 10 years old that I was going to be sitting here talking to people in a spirit box that died who knows when, I'm like, yeah, right. Well, now that I'm like, I have to pinch myself, like, hold on. I had a guy I was working with his mom recently in June, him and his 6-year-old little boy fell in the water at the river. And they found the boy. They haven't found Patrick yet, still today. Um, so a mutual friend reaches out to me and says, we're messaging. She's like, "Hey, I'm friends of the family that they just lost these people. Do you think you could help her?" Because they hadn't found either of them yet. And I said, I'm going to tell you, I love doing murders and missing people, and they give me the most very specific information, but I can't get land coordinates. And so, as much as I love doing it, I never want to make a situation more like a circus by saying, "Well, I see X, Y, Z," and it all comes out later that is exactly right. But I can't tell them where I see it at. Like, go down this lane and turn left and go to the trunk of the tree over there. Like, I can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So, um, fast forward, I'm back trying to tell her. I'm like, "Ah, I could see what I could come up with," and I instantly channeled something about, he's visible, he's caught up on a branch of sorts, he's visible, they just haven't got to where he's at yet. So she gets quiet and then comes back maybe 20-30 minutes later. She must have been talking to the mom and says, "Oh my gosh, that's just where they found the 6-year-old today." So then the mom believed that I had gifts because they had just told me something about that. And so I'm talking to Spirit Box. We all go down to the river together. And this is how specific Spirit Box is. They call Patrick Pie. His name's Patrick, but he has a nickname of Pie. So I would say, "Hey Pie, are you here with me?" And his mom's with me, his brother's with me, my daughter's with me. We're all just walking the river trying to talk. And he starts saying stuff that was very clear, but I didn't know what it meant. So we had to start Googling it. And he says River Rock. No, Ranger Rick. Ranger Rock. I can't remember what the term was. So anyway, we're like, "What the hell is this?" He keeps saying it over and over again. He's saying tire. He keeps saying hold on. Well, what happened was that when they went to get out of the river, the mom and the one little boy got out, and then the 6-year-old slipped off the inner tube into the water. Dad jumps in to get him. So there's your tire reference, the inner tube tire. He keeps saying something about baseball, which his son, I didn't know at the time, his son was a really good baseball player. Um, but he's saying, I think it's Ranger Rock, I think. Anyway, we Google it and we look, lo and behold, it's a spot down by the river that I didn't even know existed. So he keeps giving me very specific stuff on the spirit box where his mom can hear him. And he keeps saying the birds. I'm going to tell you, for me, oh, I want to know. I want to watch what I say just in case any of my people are on here. I don't want to trigger anything. I, I he kept saying something about the birds, the birds. Well, we're over at the Ranger Rock or Rick or whatever it was, and we were Googling again. And lo and behold, there's some kind of bird watching zone over there too. So I'm like, okay. He kept pulling us back to this area, saying it's hot out here, da da da. So fast forward, we're down there for a few hours. Fast forward, I'm still even today, like when I'm in my car, I'm like, "Hey, is Patrick here? Pie, can you tell me where you're at? Can you give me a sign?" But they started saying things like, well, first Pie was doing the talking and he kept saying it's hot, the birds. Then he started saying the projects, the old, um, the government, the mouth. And I'm like, what does all this mean, right? Well, come to find out, the mouth is the mouth of the river where it ends into Lake Erie. It's the mouth of the river going into the lake. So I get on Google Earth and I zone all the way down. And lo and behold, I kept telling his mom, I'm like, "I don't think Patrick's on the main part of the river anymore. He's on the river, but he's off like on an he's in an inlet of sorts. He's not like right on the river anymore." And I said,
Tributary.
they're spending too much time up here. He's way down river by now. He's way down river. I knew this immediately. But they kept thinking he was caught up on this one dam. And so they kept spending all their time there. But we had crazy rains. The water was so high and just running crazy. So I mean, I just knew logically he's not here, but I could feel it too. He where he was taking us, I think is the last place he was still alive. Lo and behold, it circulates while I'm on the river with his mom that that evening someone took a picture in that same spot and said, they posted it on social media rather than call the cops and said, "Hey, I think somebody needs to come down here and take a look because I think there's a body across the river." Well, I could see it very clearly. The mom couldn't. I didn't want to point it out like crazy, but to me, he was still very much alive. I could see he had something red in his hand. There was something red floating up in front of him a little bit, and he had his arm up over kind of like a stump that had fallen, but his legs were outstretched. I know he was exhausted, but he was still alive. His arm was down in the water. You could see him holding something red. And she said, "Oh, Braxton's Crocs were red, or the other brother's Crocs were red, and one of them's still missing. And we only had one of them, or something." She said. So I think what happened is that he was there still alive at that time, and so he was taking us there because it's the last like visual he could give me. So fast forward to the spirits keep saying the second dip, and then he's saying something about the projects and the government. Come to find out, the Army Corps of Engineers is down there dredging at the same time he's missing at the mouth of the river. They're dredging the dam area down there. So there's your government, there's your project. When I Google zoom in, there's an inlet that goes to the left that's called the Old Something River. Remember, I said he kept saying the old too.
Yeah.
So he was giving me very, very specific stuff. He also keeps talking to me about winter. So I think that he's going to somehow something of his or him himself is going to be found when I mean, we're getting into winter, but there's still a lot of foliage here in Ohio. So I think once everything starts to die down, I have to turn my heat up. I'm freezing. Um, I think that they're going to find something with him.
No,
But
that's really cool though that you can do that.
well, I've got them. I've got a recording where they said pie is in the mouth. And you remember how I said earlier about smoke and mirrors deliveries, right? Well, spirits don't, the way you guys will hear it on a spirit box is kind of how a medium hears it in their head. So it's not some big, long, drawn out paragraph definition of something. So even in that example, I started really paying attention. So when it happened, I knew. I started realizing spirits would pick up and try to finish the sentence for each other. So one might only get a word or two, another one will say something else. But then if you start putting the words together, so a lot of times on lives I'm writing and there's like this whole big message that they just gave me, right? Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's I just, I go back to people just have to be open minded. It's there's just so much I don't to me it's just a beautiful thing. It's beautiful to me to know that there's something so much bigger than what we are here today and that we continue on and our loved ones are still beside us and see everything that's going on.
Yeah.
um so I don't know, to me it's beautiful.
Yeah. So we're actually almost out of time, but I have a kind of funny question.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, kind of I think will make everybody laugh for the ending of this
Okay.
is you talk about being on like the dating sites and stuff.
Uh-huh.
You ever use your mediumship to be like, oh wait, this guy is totally gonna do this, so swipe left.
So okay, I don't get it in that kind of way, but I can very much feel the energy and the eyes tell me a lot. So I've had examples where I know someone's into children, if you get what I'm saying. So,
Yeah,
like, yeah, so like, I'll just know, like, and I've learned to listen to it because I've learned to trust what spirit they give us stuff like this all the time in life. So, yeah, it's cost some men some stuff because I'm like, yeah, you just have to listen to it. It's around all of us all the time. We're being told things.
yeah. And then the follow up is, have you ever been in like a restaurant and you're like sitting across and you're like, oh, something picks up and mediumship kicks in and you're like, okay, gotta find the closest exit. What's my getaway strategy?
So that's one of the things I like to tell everybody is that it doesn't matter where you are. You can be on open land. You can be in a brand new house that was built, a church, the bathroom. Spirits are around us all the time, like all the time. That's why I've got that chatter thing going on constantly. But I'll give you a quick story to end it. My very first public reading was exactly that situation right there. And it only happened because I had had a few sips of mixed drinks, And a friend of mine actually was taking me to see Tyler Henry, Psychic to the Stars. He's the young blonde boy who he's one of the people I really believe in. The way he sweats and the translate, I can just see it. I can see the spirits with him. So anyway, I wanted to go to a show. I got to go for free. And we're sitting down eating before the show's going to even start. And funny story, I'm dark haired Laura. The friend that took me, his name is Kathy, blonde hair, color cat. We're sitting there eating, minding our own business, and lo and behold, a blonde haired lady and a dark haired lady come over and say, "Hey, we're trying to get dinner to eat before the show, and all the tables are full. Could we sit with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Get your food. Come on." So as soon as they walk away, my cat says, my friend cat, she says, "What about them?" And I said, "Yeah, her son passed away." So I feel like I'm the circus, the what do you call it? Like the sideshow circus freak when people are with me sometimes because they're like, "What about them? What about them?" So I'm like, "Yeah, her son passed away." So they're sitting down, and of course I'm sipping on my stuff as I'm eating, and um, the blonde haired lady sits across from me, and the dark haired lady sits across from my blonde haired friend. Lo and behold, their names are exactly the same color hair, right? Like you can't make this shit up. So Laura's the one whose son had passed away. And so my friend's trying to test my skills out. I know what she's doing, but we're eating and they're like talking just small talk. She's like, "So what brings you guys here?" And uh the other cat says, "Oh, I wanted to bring my friend Laura. Her son passed away. We're hoping to connect. I got front row seats." And I looked at her, and it was only because I had a sip, because I usually won't speak up in front of people. And I said, "See, I told you." And they were like, "What?" So then Kat's like, "Oh, Laura's a medium too. That's why I brought her. Da, 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 da." And I don't know what took over, but I just said, "You want to read it? I'll give you a reading." I just couldn't help it. She calls me the Nick Whisperer now, all these years later, because he comes to me a lot and talks to me about random stuff. So I told her, I said, "The first thing I'm hearing is like bow, or I feel like it's boat, but I don't hear the T, bow, bow." And she just breaks out sobbing, crying, saying that she called him her beau. So, like, yes, I do get that stuff to, I mean, I just think that's a cool story because it's like my first official live reading, um, public reading. And so, yeah, it happens a lot. And I actually, I've been catching myself trying to tune into it more like, okay, I know you're here. Like, what's your name? What do you want? Like, I'm very good at blocking it out though, unless I'm trying to do readings, just because it will drive you insane if you sit like, so.
Well, hopefully they gave you a break tonight.
They were here. As a matter of fact, you have a woman with you that's been with you since we first got on the camera, and I think she's a relative to you on your mom's side of the family. But she had okay. I always see older people retroed. So even if she passed when she was 70, she'll look like 30, 40 to me. But uh, brown hair, and I feel like brown, like my color brown, not super black, but not lighter brown. And I feel like she's got maybe a bob haircut. It's really weird. I don't know if you see me earlier reach up and I touched the phone. I was actually trying to look in your background because she's like
Oh,
back there. So yeah, I was trying to see if I could see her because I can see where she's at in my mind's eye, but I can't see her physically. So
hmm.
it's all the time. Now you're gonna be like, "Get this lady out of here tonight." She's
No,
always there. They're always there.
actually, I grew up around spirits, so I'm
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
And at home gym physique. Uh,
What?
Actually, I'll be able to sleep fine tonight.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
used to
right.
having. So, what's funny about me, I'll share real quick, is at my house, I had a little like corner of the living room I used to call Times Square, where
Mhm.
spirits were constantly going back and forth. It was like there's two portals there where
Uh-huh.
they were just, it was like a hub, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
And it never bothered me. I was like, you guys do you. I'm going to do me. We're good. I know you're there. You know I'm here. We're good. And I even recorded one day something because someone didn't believe me. And there was like 10 different spirits talking over the phone because I
You
just did a
guys,
recording.
yes, you guys have to. I'm telling this to your audience, but if you haven't seen it, you have to see it. There's a hospice lady that I watch. Her name is Hospice. No, it wasn't Hospice Penny. It was the other one. I can't remember her name. You guys can Google it and find it on TikTok. I know you can. It doesn't. It's not just her videos all over. They actually caught an EVP. Um, a woman was in her active stages of dying. She's at home on hospice, and they have a camera on and record all the time because it's their mom. They catch her like respond to something, and you hear a girl. It sound I can't remember exactly. I think she said something like, "Come on now," or "I'm here." I can't remember. You could hear it, and the mom responds to it. The dying woman responds to it. It was very faint. And then you hear her say, "Come on, mom." Like, but you could just tell. I mean, the old lady's responding to, I've got goosebumps just talking about it. So to me, it's like, it's just a perfect example of with our technology and spirit, the veils thinning and them having more opportunities to manipulate things. Um, it's going on all the time. People, a lot of times you just blow it off and you're like, yeah, you think you're daydreaming, but it's really spirit saying something to you and you got a visual in your head about something, right? So they're around us all the time. And if you're not, I think you have to set boundaries. Like, even if when I'm on Spirit Box on live, if something in the energy like shifts or I feel like I'm like, absolutely not. You know, if you're not of love and light, you're not allowed to be here. I don't communicate with you. You're not allowed to use my devices. You have to go. And then I'll even joke with spirits. But you guys, you can't make this shit up. If you go back and look at some of my videos, and this isn't a ploy like, hey, go follow me on TikTok. I want you just to see the evidence. It's amazing the communication and the intelligence that they come through with. You can't make this shit up. Like I had a lady, I was sitting here eating Skittles on live, and she says, "Can you cook?" And I'm like, "Can I cook?" "Well, yes, ma'am, I could cook, but I'm just eating candy right now. You want some?" And she says, ha 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 ha, and laughs. I mean, the whole audience was wild. Like, you can't make this shit up. And the more that you are open to it and believe it and set boundaries and indulge yourself in the beauty of it, the more that they're attracted to you and will open you up to it, you know?
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I've had a great time. I could keep you on here probably 2 more hours talking.
Oh, we'll definitely have you back on because yeah, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it as well.
Well, I'm glad, and that makes me feel good because I always am worried about first timers coming on the show because it's like blind trust because you don't know what I'm like.
And vice
You see
versa.
episodes, but it's like, is that really him or? And so we've been chatting and every once in a while, and so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Makes it a little more
and
comfortable.
well, I'm glad,
Likewise. If you guys want to follow me, if I may give out my TikTok
of
handle, it's
course.
Whispering Angels with two S's. There's a lot of fake accounts out there, so um, you'll know it's me. You just have to pay attention. And I've got maybe 22,000 followers. Most of the other ones are following more than they've got followers. So Whispering Angels with two S's. So I've enjoyed it. I
And
appreciate it.
yeah, and it is in the description of the episode, so definitely check her out. She does have some really cool videos on her TikTok. I'm kind of a little jealous because all I do is post episodes upcoming. It's like, yeah, I don't have time to.
I'm gonna send you that video I sent you about with so for anybody that's in here that's into the UFOs, I just have to tell them the story so you can hear it and they know what to look for. It is on my TikTok too. I had last not last, but this past like March or April, I can't remember. I was laying in my bed. This is how you know to trust spirit stuff, spiritual stuff, whether it's paranormal, spiritual, and the alien stuff or whatever. Just trust it, guys, and go with what you're feeling. So I'm laying on my bed, and this just sounds so far fetched, but I promise on everything, this is so true how this happened. I'm laying on my bed, and my bed faces a window. Well, the blinds are down, but you know where the strings run through the blinds, you have those little holes. I just happened to be right in the right exact spot that way over across the parking lot above the other building, I can see the star that's always up there. So I don't know why. It obviously pulled me to look. But as I'm looking, all of a sudden I see it go. So, and I know it's growing because it's now expanded past one little hole. So of course I get up and I start recording. I'm actually on FaceTime with someone, but he's darkened out up at the top left, but you'll see the, and all of a sudden this thing gets super large, and it's perfectly round, but it looks like it has like a nucleus. It's, I don't know. And I start panning out. This, I'm telling you guys this because you'll know when to look. It's only like a minute something, the video, but as I pan out, you'll start to see it. And I go back in, all of a sudden this thing looks like an embryonic sac. It looks exactly the same, but there's something in it around the whole half side of it. It looks like a baby, like when you're looking at an ultrasound, kicking around and moving around, and all of a sudden it starts moving really fast, and it looks like it's trying to come out of that nucleus, out of the hole, like the hole must allow it out. So anyway, I recorded two different videos of it, and then all of a sudden it just shrunk back up to regular star size, and I couldn't see it. I haven't seen it again, but it's the coolest shit ever. Like, I know I captured something alien, because what star has something all of a sudden appear in the middle of it and start trying to get out the hole? You guys have to look at it. Amazing. Ever since that's when I've started feeling like I'm hearing them come through. And the weird thing is, I got to share this with you. My almost 30-year-old daughter lives in the apartments across the parking lot. Same apartments, different building. She constantly says to me, when I come out at night to walk the dog, I feel like aliens are going to abduct me. She says it all the time. And I just think that's really weird after the whole alien clip and all that stuff that's been going on. So I'm like, you are an alien girl. What are you talking about? Your sister. Oh. Of course, it's her. It's you too. I don't say alien, they're gonna abduct me. She doesn't let me say skinwalker though.
Oh yeah. I
So
actually just
anyway,
got caught up on Skinwalker Ranch before I came on this show.
I actually said I wanted to get back. Matter of fact, maybe I'll do that while I'm at work the rest of the week, because they were getting into some really good episodes where they were going to capture something, and I actually completely forgot to go back and watch it. So don't give it away.
Oh, I won't. But so thank you for coming on, and
Thank
thank.
you.
And I know I said this earlier, but I'm gonna do something a little different, but same, and that is my heart to you and show's heart to you. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's what we get these things for. So thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share a little more.
Yeah, and we'll definitely look at trying to get you back in next season
Okay.
and talk some more.
Sounds
And
good. I
so,
appreciate it.
yeah, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow along because you never know when she'll be popping in.
That's right. Thank you.
And be sure to follow her TikTok channel. You won't regret it. It is full of really cool stuff. And so, with that, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know it's next week, but
Happy holidays.
just going to put it out there now because, you can never have too much gratitude.
That's right. Gratitude and perspective, people. Thank you again. You guys have a great
And
night,
hope.
okay?
Good night, everyone.
See ya. Bye.